Hi, I'm just doing this video because a friend of mine called Jen has a sword at home that she's discovered that her family have, and she thought she might try her hand at HEMA. So this is for her and for anyone who wants to try to do some basic cuts with a single-handed sword. Don't worry about the dog that wanders through the video at times. She is just part of the background. So to start off with, you'll need a sword-like object. A sword is probably best. If you don't have a sword, then like a stick will do, anything that's sort of sword-sized. So start off with, how do you hold the sword if you do have a sword with a hilt? If it's a side sword like this one, you put your finger through that loop there and you grip the sword like this. Be careful not to grip too hard, because otherwise these muscles here will really feel it and you'll get an injury. And don't be too loose in your grip either, because then the sword will just fall out of your hand. I'm sorry, this is pretty battered, but it's the first sword that came to hand. So we're just going to do two basic cuts, okay? So start off with, so that's how you hold the sword. Start off with your feet. You want most of the weight on your front foot, your sword foot, whether you're left or right footed, depends. So most of the weight here, mostly on the balls of your foot, and the rear heel slightly raised as if you were just walking. So shoulders feet shoulder width apart, front and back. It's quite a natural position to be in, it's not uncomfortable. Okay, so starting off with, raise your sword as I showed. You're going to be gripping it like this, up like He-Man or She-Ra, and you're just going to cut down diagonally. Now if you're not sure at this point what that means, if you just imagine your little finger here is leading the movement, so you're just drawing your little finger from where it is up here down towards your hip, okay? And then you just bring it up and diagonally down. So you're just forming a cross or an infinity symbol in front of you. And that's basically it, okay? So you're standing still, you're not doing any footwork at this point, you're just cutting in front of you. Okay, the sword ought to cross in the air at about the height of your opponent's head or neck. So if you've got a mirror in front of you, or a reflection of some sort, you'll be looking at your reflection, it should be going across here and here. And those are just two basic cuts. There you go. Like that. So once you've done a few of those, your arm might feel a bit tired, because depending on how heavy the sword is, again pay attention that you're not gripping too hard. If your arm does tire, don't force yourself to keep going, have a rest, or you can always just do it without a sword in your hand. Just make sure you're doing those basic movements, so it's the little finger that's leading each time. If the little finger is leading the movement, that means we're using the true edge of the sword in this case. So we're not doing any footwork at this point, but if you want to sort of gear it up a notch, we're going to try and add our body into the movement. So it's going to be, instead of our arm doing all the work and our shoulder, we're going to be using our whole torso and the movement of our hips and shoulders. So when I pull the sword down from this side to this side, it's this hip and this shoulder that are going to come back. So if you can see, that is driving the movement. Yeah, and then I bring it up, and now I bring this hip back. So I bring that sword down to this side, and again I raise it up, pull this side of my body over, and that makes the sword move down towards this side. So I'm not doing all the work in my shoulder, or my hip clip then. I'm doing it, still clicking, getting old. I'm doing it from my whole, the whole body movement, okay? So the sword is continuing in that figure of 8 pattern. Make sure you're not tucking your arm in because the sword gets too heavy. See how much you can extend your arm, see how much you can extend your reach with this to start off with. As we go on, we can do stuff from the elbow and then from the wrist, but that comes later. So at the moment we're just using big gross motor movements, big muscles to move the sword. So here and here. Okay, that's quite straightforward. Once you've done a few of those, you might want to start thinking about the feet. So when we start to incorporate the feet, they follow on from the hips, okay? So the hips generally guide where the position of the foot should be. Okay, so if we're starting from this position here, I've already got this foot back, right? So that hip is already back in relation to where the sword is. So I pull down, it comes down to here, right? General rule is we don't want our leg or our hip to be in the way of this sword, okay? So when I go to cut down that way, I'll bring my sword up, I'm going to swap my feet round so this foot comes forward, and as I cut down, I've got to move that hip back to make space here. And again. So I'm just stepping aside to make space for my sword to swing through the space. I don't want my leg or my body to be in the way. Okay, do a few of those. Good. So you've done the movement of the sword, you know how to grip the sword, you know how to stand, you know how to use your body to move the sword, you know how to use your feet to move the sword. Now we can look at, say, let's just pretend you've done this lots and lots. Doing smaller cuts with a strike from the elbow. So this is exactly the same movements we were doing before, but instead of the pivot point being my shoulder, it's now going to be my elbow. So when I cut, I can bend my elbow this time. I've still got my sword extended in front of me, but I'm not extending it so much like this. The pivot point is here. The benefit of having the elbow bent is that the sword, as you can see, moves much more quickly than here. I mean, this is a bigger cut, it reaches further, it's more powerful. This one doesn't reach as far because it's drawn further into my body, but it's quicker. Yeah. And then finally, bring it down to the wrist. Be careful if you haven't done a lot of sword exercises, because it does require you to build up quite a bit of strength in your forearm. But it's from here. You don't even need to move your feet that much. It is just a case of moving your body. It's always a case of generating the movement from your body. Don't try and charge all the power from your wrist, because that will just cause an injury. So make sure it is your body that is generating the power, and then your arm is kind of like guiding, finely tuning that movement. Okay, have fun.